Hundreds of thousands of Haitians living in the United States are facing the unfathomable: deportation to a country humanitarian groups describe as being more violent and unstable than it was when they fled years ago. Their temporary protected status comes to an end today on the heels of last month's Supreme Court decision, and as they brace for the Trump administration to follow through on its promise to accelerate immigration enforcement tactics and send federal agents out into vulnerable Haitian communities. All while new reporting also suggests Homeland Security is reviewing its vetting processes for those very agents. That's according to a senior White House official who spoke with the Washington Post. In the aftermath of ex-partners and relatives who came forward and told reporters that the ICE agent who shot and killed a man in Maine earlier this month has an extensive history of violence and domestic abuse allegations. White House border czar Tom Homan was asked about the current vetting process.
Should someone with those issues be an ICE agent?
No, if those are facts, I don't think he should ever cleared vetting. It's under review. There's several things under review, right? The training is under review.
Let's bring in Reverend Carl Ruby, the senior pastor at Central Christian Church in Springfield, Ohio. Reverend, it's good to see you again. Springfield, it has, of course, a vibrant and large Haitian community. So I want to begin with just what today represents for them.
Yeah, I was speaking with one Haitian leader just asking how the community was doing. And his response was they're in a state of panic. And I think our Haitian neighbors, number one, they're a great benefit to our community. But second, it's very clear that it's not safe to go back to Haiti. And the stakes are so high that I understand their panic.
When you say the stakes are so high, I wonder if you can elaborate on that. The Trump administration has said that Haiti no longer meets the qualifications for TPS. Of course, they've suggested that it's fine for people to go back home. At the same time, the U.S. issues a Haiti level 4 warning, do not travel advisory. That was only 3 weeks ago, I believe, over the risk of crime, kidnapping, terrorism, unrest, and limited health care. For people who are forced to return, what may be waiting for them?
Yeah, those are extremely real concerns. I was talking to a 12-year-old boy at my church just recently, and he barely survived a kidnapping attempt and was talking about hiding under a desk in his school while he heard gunfire. That child also told me about actually seeing feral hogs eating the bodies of people who have been killed by the gangs. So I think you can only imagine the nightmares that a child like that would have at the thought of being sent back. And I can't imagine that any, decent American, regardless of their faith or political party, would be comfortable sending women and children and men back into those conditions.
And Pastor, what will happen to the about 50,000 U.S. citizen children born to Haitians who have TPS?
I don't think anyone knows the answer to that question. I mean, my understanding is that ICE plans on deporting them with their parents. And most of the parents that I've talked to said they don't want to be separated from their children. So parents face an impossible choice of either leaving their children behind or taking them back to a place where their lives are in danger. I can't imagine being a parent and facing those choices.
And so to be clear, that would mean in those cases that we are sending U.S. citizens back to a place where we know that their lives are at serious risk.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And whether they're U.S. citizens or not, they're children. And I don't think America can be great if we aren't just basically good. And I think the vast majority of Americans would not support putting a child back in that situation. So I think the policies of the administration are really out of step with the public. And I just hope they will listen in time to save lives. And not only it's not just lives that I'm concerned about, but I think of a young teenage girl in my church, and rape is very common in Haiti right now with the gangs. And there's no need to send her back into that context, none at all. And I think that I think the Lord will hold people accountable who do that or support that.
Do you trust this administration when you hear them saying essentially two things right now, which is that they're ramping up their immigration enforcement actions, they're going to be coming into communities like yours very soon, but they're also going to take vetting and a sort of a refresh of their policies seriously as well?
Yeah, well, it's a little late for that. That should have been done a long time ago. So whether we can trust them to do it now or not, I think remains to be seen. What we're doing in the faith community in Springfield is preparing people to peacefully resist. And, the Bible is filled with examples of people who resisted unjust laws and are considered heroes, like people like Daniel and Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and even the Apostle Paul, who wrote that verse in Romans 13 about encouraging people to submit to the government authorities. Even he broke the law when the laws were unjust. So those are the kind of situations we are having to think through as faith leaders, is what can we do to protect people who we sincerely believe are at risk of being killed, being raped, being kidnapped. And we have a very clear mandate to obey God's laws over man's laws. And I know that God doesn't approve of this.
What's your message to someone wondering right now how they could help their Haitian neighbors who may personally feel afraid to take this administration on?
Oh, man. We need a legislative solution. So right now there's a bill before the Senate. I would encourage them to call their senators and ask them to support it. It's called the TPS Stabilization Act of 2026. Here in Springfield, we have people volunteering to deliver food, volunteering to provide sanctuary, taking over power of attorney for children who could be left behind. All of those things are happening. And if ICE comes to Springfield, I hope people, not only from Springfield, but from across the state and across the country, will join us in peaceful resistance to a policy that is unjust, and I would even go as far as to say un-American.